Explain what your support, what your life is. It's Manchester United, our football club. It is your life, my life. Tell them the pain, tell them the sacrifices you make and why you make them sacrifices to follow your football team. Tell them and bring them here.
Well, you've got to remember that their era came not so long after the Second World War finished, and in those days, to be a player in the First Division, you didn't normally make your mark till you were about 23, 24. Well, all of a sudden you had this youth system coming through at Old Trafford, where they had the best youth players in England and Ireland, Scotland, and all of a sudden you got these young kids of 16, 17, 18, 19 breaking into the first team. And at first Sir Matt was under a lot of pressure, people saying it wouldn't work. It took probably 3 to 4 years, and then they started to come through. And when they did, in 1956, they won the First Division Championship with an average age of 22 years of age.
Which at the time was unheard of.
Unheard of. And they won it by quite a distance as well. So you had this effervescent bunch of young kids who would go out on a Saturday, they'd play this exciting brand of football, this attacking, you know, and it was the same ethos that Fergie had: if you score one, we'll score two, you know, and they were that good. That was the thing. But you had this roller coaster, this conveyor belt of young kids coming through, you know, from the A team, from the reserves into the first team, and it was really, really strong. So they won the First Division Championship 2 seasons running. But you've also got to remember that they were the pioneers for English teams going into the Europe.
And every Manchester United fan on this planet should come here at least once. The 61st one next year is just as important as today.
Busby did something that no manager will ever do.
I was there on the 26th of September 1956 when they played their first home European Cup tie at Main Road.
What was that like? I mean, we had to
Unbelievable.
Go to Main Road. What was the atmosphere like?
Well, that first one, there was only 40,000 there. It was a very, very wet Wednesday night, but they played a game that they won 10-0 that night. 10-0, you know, it was unbelievable. To score 10 goals at a professional level in any game is, it takes some doing. And there you had this team of young kids breaking through, and it was absolutely, this is what set the stage. And what it did, it lit up the whole country. Everybody wanted to see them play. And if you look at the records, most of the home records, you'll see they were against Manchester United at that time. I always remember it. It was a very grey, cold Thursday afternoon in Manchester, and there was a bit of light snow coming. And the news didn't start coming through till about 5 o'clock. And I was actually on London Road near what is now Piccadilly Station. And there was a pub there called the White Hart, and there was a newspaper guy there, and he was putting up a placard, and it just said, "United's playing crashes." And I asked him, and he said, "We don't know." He said, "It's just coming through," and everybody thought, "Oh, it's just a little bit of newspaper talk, it would be nothing, serious." But then as the evening started to draw in and the news started to come in that there'd been fatalities, well, that's when it started to hit people, because the names were starting to come through. There was the journalists and the players, and the following morning it was all there for everybody to see. Now these were young boys. We'd seen them just 10 days before, and they weren't coming home. They were our heroes. We'd grown up with them. They weren't coming home. And the pall of mourning that hit Manchester, not only Manchester, parts of Great Britain as well, it went on, it was just eerie, and I don't think there's been an outpouring of grief, not even the Princess Diana funeral. I don't think there was an outpouring of grief like that we saw during that week of the Munich disaster.
our club, our team.
People have got to remember that we were lucky that Jimmy Murphy wasn't on the aircraft. Jimmy had to go and look after the Welsh team, so he didn't travel. So the job that Jimmy Murphy did in cobbling together a team of third team players, reserves, a couple of signings, and he got them through to the FA Cup final. But what a lot of people don't realise is that the following season, with that cobbled up team and Samat back at the helm, they finished runners up in the first division.
So they still managed to reinvent
They still
the team
managed, yeah, but it had its toll, because all these young kids that had to step into the breach, eventually the pressure told on them, and a lot of them lost their careers through it. And it's an interesting fact that within 30 months of the accident, most of them young players had left the club. You know, but it was a period of intense mourning. But I don't think there is a club in Great Britain or even in Europe could have rebuilt the way Manchester United. It took 5 years before they won the first major trophy, and then we had what I call the period of Best and Bacchus. You know, we had Best, Lord Charlton, Crerham folk style, and then of course 10 years after the disaster we won the Holy Grail.
We are suffering. We will never ever forget that pain as long as we live. Thank you.
If you look back through the history books, 18 months before the air crash, England played Brazil at Wembley, and England won 4-2, and they missed 2 penalties in that game. Brazil 18 months or 20 months later won the World Cup, and the decimation of the England side, where they lost Byrne, Edwards, Taylor, Jeff Hall, unfortunately the Birmingham fullback, he was lost to polio. But out of that United team, you could have said that probably 8 of them would have gone to that World Cup.
And what impact would that have had on England?
I think they'd have won it. I think they'd have won it. They had a very good team. I mean, even though Brazil won that cup that year, England played them in the qualifying round in the first stage, and they drew no score with them. So, you know, with the players of the calibre that they had there, especially Byrne, Edwards and Taylor, they had more. They'd have been favourites to win it, I think. What I tell the kids today, immerse yourself in the history of the club, because without the history, there's no future. And the history is of great, great importance. It sets the values out. Manchester United is not all about winning. You know, we love to win trophies, but it's about the foundation of the club and the ethos of the club and what that ethos was built upon. You know, and we have this great, great policy of bringing youth players through. I mean, the game's changed completely now. I mean, the money that's in the game today, but we still look after our core values, and that's trying to produce our own players. And, you know, people have to immerse themselves in that history to know the club, you know, to really, you know, invest their time in it. And that's why Manchester United's so special.
We'll have 2 minutes silence. For 2 minutes, please think back to what I said. Think back to Kenny lying there. Think back and think forward to all the families still suffering here in Germany, in Manchester and right around the world. And one last thing, I salute you all.
One cold and bitter Thursday in Munich, Germany, 8 great football stalwarts conceded victory. 8 men will never play again who met destruction there. The flowers of English football, the flowers of Manchester. Mad Busby's boys were flying, returning from Belgrade. This great united family are masters of their trade. The pilot of the aircraft, the skipper, Captain Thane. 3 times they tried to take off, and twice turned back again. The flowers of English football, the flowers of Manchester.
Thank you. Thank you. What a way to end a fantastic day amongst friends. Thank you. Take it easy. Travel home safe. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest day of my life. Thank you.
Man United will never die. We'll 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 keep the red flag flying high. Man United will never die.